Welcome to the Grow Your Money podcast, where we're on a mission to change how we talk about money. Our fireside chats are the heart of our show, bringing the energy and excitement of in-person events straight to your ears. We aim to connect you with inspiring voices and stories that matter, sharing relatable experiences and insights that will transform your financial life. Everyone deserves access to practical financial knowledge, so we're making money conversations relatable by inviting guests from all walks of life to share their real-life experiences with money. But this isn't your typical money show. We look at the emotional, psychological, and cultural factors that shape our relationship with money. So hit subscribe and join us for another episode of the Grow Your Money podcast.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Grow Your Money Challenge podcast. We're so excited to be here with a very eclectic mix. A Kenyan in the house today. Lovely to have you guys discussing financial life in a new country and how that goes. I'll let you introduce yourselves and then I'll find out a bit more about you using some fun questions and we'll delve into the question of the day. We'll start with you, Godwin.
Okay. My name is Godwin, and I live in sunny Scotland, in Livingstone. I am an accountant by profession, but I also have other interests outside of accounting work, which involve family and extracurricular activities.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Over to you.
Yeah, my name is Jonathan, and I am a community psychologist. I live in Edinburgh, and I work in Edinburgh. I've got passion around fitness, sports, money, name it, everything.
Life. Nice. Thank you for joining us, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Himani. I live in Glasgow. I'm an engineer, but not the awkward ones, hopefully, the less awkward ones. I enjoy sports. I enjoy meeting new people, hanging out, chatting, just like this. So, yeah.
Nice one. And how long have each of you been in Scotland? Starting with you, Jonathan.
Hey, since 2009, so that's coming to about 13 years?
You're a grandpa. You're a Scottish grandpa. And you, Kim?
I'm ashamed now. 21 years.
Oh. Whoa.
21.
Years. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a whole life.
Wow.
It's a long time.
You're a great grand.
That's
Godwin?
pretty cool. I think mine's just 15 years.
15 years.
Doesn't feel that way, but yeah. I can't believe
It creeps
15
up on you,
years.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I want you to describe your relationship with money using an emoji. And we'll start with you, Jonathan.
I don't know, because, of course, firstly, I like money. I like to make money, but I don't know how to spend it.
You don't know how to. That is a
Yeah.
good problem to have.
My big problem is spending it. Yeah, so if I'm describe my relationship with money in an emoji, is really a smiling emoji. Because yes, yeah,
Wow.
because each time I think about money, I smile. Sometimes it's very hard to get, but you're still smiling because you're sure you get it at some point.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Kim?
I'd probably say there's the hide your face emoji.
We've had a few say that.
I don't like talking about money. I don't find it comfortable. I feel like it's something that's not important. It's the outcome of hard work, but it's not the money that's important, it's the hard work. So I feel like money is the wrong thing to discuss sometimes, but it could be just my upbringing when I've just never felt comfortable talking about money.
Interesting. So hiding your face, the monkey with the hands up, and for you it's because you're just uncomfortable talking about money generally.
Yeah.
Wow. Very different. Same response from some, but very different reason why. So interesting. Godwin?
Yeah, but the monkey has a smile on his face, so it's not such a bad one. I like that little monkey. I think my one is like, is it a slap on your head? You know the one?
Yes.
And I don't know. I think that one kind of describes me because sometimes I feel like with money, I have these moments where you're just saying, I should have known that, you know, oh, why don't I know that? Oh, with all that I know, how could I do that? So that's the emoji that I would use. But then I also think that money and dealing with it is a journey. So in using that emoji, it also describes where you've reached in your journey, where you feel like, okay, you know, I know some stuff, but I still trip up, which I guess affects all aspects of life, not just money. So that's the one I would go for.
Interesting. And you're the accountant. I thought you'd have a calculator. I was like, is there an emoji that has a calculator on the head?
I do
So
like
that's
the one that,
encouraging.
is it the thoughtful one or the curious one? But yeah, I'm not always curious about money.
Nice. Now to a fun one. If you had to create a personal finance TikTok themed video, what would it be? What would the hashtag be? Kim?
I think the hashtag might be check yourself.
Check yourself.
Check yourself. I think you know, the issues surrounding not being comfortable discussing money, ultimately they lead you to, it's not just like speaking to everyone else. There could be barriers in your own self. There's an opportunity to be innovative about how you do your finances. You might shy away from that as well. So I think check yourself is, you know, check your budget, check your balance, check your plans, check what products are available. Just sort of check yourself in terms of how you do with money.
Brilliant. Nice one. Jonathan?
You know, mine I think will be a Swahili one, hakuna matata.
Don't worry.
Hey, you don't have to worry. And the reason for me, I know sometimes it's really difficult not to worry. But with the more you worry, you can't change things. But I prefer to think, I'm not worrying about money, but internal, I know I'm looking for it. You know, yeah.
So changing the narrative, like, don't worry about it, just think about how you can get it or solve problems for it.
Exactly.
Interesting. Gosh, I never used to worry about money until I moved to the UK. And then I was like, gosh, this is something that needs to be thought about.
You know, the one thing that I remember from my young age, throughout my upbringing and school, I was always given a nickname as the jobless young millionaire. I had no money, but that's how I called myself.
Wow, the jobless young millionaire. Can I borrow that?
I had no job, but I always
had money,
and I don't know how.
Wow. Attitude, I suppose, like how
Yeah.
rub off, you've said you're looking to spend it. We're here.
Yeah.
We can support you on that spending journey.
Know that I have
We
it
got
too.
your back.
That's cool.
Godwin?
I'm trying to think now. I'm obviously trying to match Jonathan. I'm not gonna make that. So I think maybe I quite like one that says, let's get it. And I feel like it's just saying, don't focus so much on what you can't do, what you don't know. Just give it your best shot. And if you trip up, get up, dust yourself again. Dust yourself off and go again.
Awesome.
So
Let's
think,
get it. Let's get it.
yeah.
Oh, wow. What a diverse but
You're listening to the Grow Your Money podcast. We'll be right back after giving our partners a well-deserved shout-outs. Calling all partners, join the Grow Your Money Challenge. We're excited to present our incredible sponsors who believe in empowering individuals and communities on their financial journey. Discover their services and join us in creating a brighter financial future. Featuring the Royal Bank of Scotland, your trusted banking partner with a rich heritage and comprehensive financial services. Explore their online banking at www.rbs.co.uk. Gift Round. Make group gifting a breeze. Celebrate special occasions together with colleagues, friends, and family. Create a gift round at giftround.co.uk and show your appreciation. Radiant and Brighter, promoting diversity and economic participation in migrant communities. Get involved with their innovative practices at radiantandbrighter.com. Rooted Finance. Struggling with debt or financial exclusion? Rooted Finance provides free money and debt advice services to put you on the path to financial freedom. Join the Grow Your Money Challenge in this transformative journey toward financial growth and resilience. Visit moneymatics.com to get involved today.
Okay, so before we dig into the real question of the evening or the episode, let's talk about your role models. Who's your role model and your favorite movie or book recommendation for the audience, the listeners? And we'll go to you, Jonathan, first.
To be honest, this is very simple for me. My role model is myself.
Wow.
No, seriously.
You're not allowed to give that answer.
So, and I'll give you reasons why.
Okay.
Most times when I think about role models, apart from, my parents, looking at my upbringing, but I always want to look at how I want my life to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if I copy other people, I don't want to be them. I want to be me. So that's why I always think, actually, I am my role model.
So then how do you set your aspirations and how do you determine when you're saying that you want to be you? So does that mean you basically you've achieved everything in life and so you're in a stable space, or are you not aspiring to anything?
I do, but I think being a role model, I think for me, is somebody I feel has the attributes, the way they carry themselves that I want to copy. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I find it difficult. But when it comes to, maybe a role model in sports or whatever, these people you think, oh, I wish I was like him. But again, you can't be. Yeah. That's why I still, flip the coin and say, actually, I am a better role model of myself. Yes, I copy some good things about them, but it's some inspirations about, things they've done, not necessarily about money, but what they've done to, achieve what they've achieved. Can I achieve it? Sometimes the answer could be no, because they've taken a different route. But I try to create my own ways to achieve things the way I want, but then just learn from everybody else that I feel actually they've inspired me in some way by either watching what they're doing or listening to their conversations or business plans and all that. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Very comfortable in your own skin, very good with your money, like Hakuna Matata.
It's very organic.
It's a wonderful life in Jonathan's world. What about your favorite book and movie?
I would start with my favorite movie. I like the Black Panther.
Nice one.
Yeah. Although I was disappointed by the new one.
Oh, why you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a good.
The first one was better.
I thought it was a good tribute to.
No. It felt like there's a lot of it's not very action packed like the first one.
So it's all about the action.
Yeah. So it's my favorite movie because I think it's kind of looking at what might happen in the future. There's a lot of resources and all that, but sometimes what you have will not determine, you sharing, I think sometimes it's difficult, but at times you feel like there will always be trouble when you have so much, so, and a book, I'm not like a book reader. I wouldn't have like a favorite book or whatever because I don't like reading books.
Nice. These days it's audio, so you're allowed to listen to the books. Kim, will come to you. Role model, book and film.
Yeah, so it's been interesting hearing what Jonathan has said because
you question your existence
because naturally, we have role models, but we don't necessarily like everything about them. Yes. But on balance, I have a lot of respect for Elon Musk, just because it's easy enough to think anything's not possible, but he's shown us over and over and over again that if you're determined enough, you work hard enough, you break barriers, you can you can change the world. And I think we all need to be trying to change the world in our own small way. And if we stop doing that, then I don't know why we're here. So I admire Elon Musk for his belief in our ability to change the world for better. I'm not very big on movies, but there's one that comes to mind. So there's the McDonald's movie. I don't know whether you guys have seen that. And again,
The founder?
yes, correct.
Interesting.
So I think that was interesting because my family does some work in restaurants. It looks really simple, and it's simple to do, but it's very hard to get it right. And getting it right doesn't live just in the food. It lives in the funding. It lives in the operations and the efficiency of the same. It lives in finding the right people. And I think in that movie, it extended that even further into actually understanding what your business is. You might be selling food, but that might not be your business. So I think that paradigm shift in that movie stayed with me for a long time. It makes me reflect on what I'm doing and ask myself, am I seeing the real deal, or am I only seeing what's in front of my eyes?
Very interesting. I actually, just to chip in on that, because I've been to your restaurant quite a few times. Every time I'm in Glasgow, even when we go, to work or we have a community event, we'll go to Calabash.
Oh, fantastic.
And you guys sell good vibes. You're not in the food business.
Absolutely. And I think that, sort of being able to realize what you're really selling is incredible. And we should always be looking for that. So in terms of books, so I'm trained as an engineer. I'm trained to look for the right way to do things. So I read a book called Alchemy. So Alchemy was a really challenging book for me to read because alchemy describes 4 possibilities in everything you do. And there are things that make sense and work. There are things that don't make sense but work. There are things that make sense but don't work. There are things that don't make sense and don't work. So now the problem is that within our society, we tend to be biased towards things that make sense. So it makes sense, it works great. It makes sense and it doesn't work, and then we focus on that area when we're looking for solutions. But actually, we've got to acknowledge how limited our understanding of not just ourselves but society is. Our understanding is so small that actually the majority of great things are highly likely to live in that doesn't make sense to us and doesn't work. So perhaps that's where we should be focusing our effort in finding those things. But obviously my training tells me if it doesn't make sense, don't look at it. And I was interested to learn that many discoveries have come about just by complete accident. If someone had suggested these things, they'd have been laughed out of the room. One example which puzzles me still is the bicycle. Apparently, scientifically, there are challenges yet to be addressed about why a bicycle works. and it's just one of these things, like, it's here, it works, we can see it. Why do we need to question why it works? But so I think that book was a great lesson for me in terms of, don't discount something just because it doesn't make sense. There might be something there, you just can't see it.
You just can't see it. Wow, and it leads into the movie as well. I mean, you may be selling burgers, but that may not be your business. Real estate may be it, Absolutely.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting. Over to you.
Oh my God. Okay, so in terms of role models, I mean, I'm like anyone. I've got role models across all spheres. I like certain movie stars. I like certain authors. I like certain characters, businessmen and all. But I like to pay tribute to the women in my life. And now this is am I allowed to say? I think this is International Women's Week or
It
something.
is actually, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yesterday was International Women's Day.
My mom is a fighter for women's rights and all that. So she's one of my role models. But I just wanted to pick on someone who is international, but also a woman, who is Mother Teresa.
Okay.
And I think the reason I want to pick her as my role model for this week is because she kind of demonstrated the power of focusing on other people, not yourself, and how that can be quite impactful, because she wasn't necessarily someone of a lot of means per se, but she just believed that she could make a difference in the lives of those people whom society had just decided to disregard. And in doing that, she touched a lot more people than just the ones she focused on. So I really admire her for that.
Brilliant.
In terms of movies, yeah, I'm not so much a movie person either, but I have watched a few that have spoken to me a lot, and I think the one that has left the most lasting impression on me is The Shawshank Redemption.
Very good film.
That is just an absolute, like, I would watch that movie any day, every day, all day.
Morgan
Because
Freeman,
it just,
Morgan Freeman one?
yeah, I think it just talks about the power of hope,
Yes.
which is perhaps the greatest power that there is. It touches a little bit on the things that you talked about, which don't make sense. I don't want to give the plot away so much, but there's a lot in the movie that doesn't make sense, but actually that power of hope makes it happen for the people in the movie. So I really love that one. There are a few others, but I don't wanna hog that. There's some that I've had my family watch over and over. Like another nice one that I love is called Ben-Hur. It's kind of a fictional character that kind of lived in the times of Jesus Christ. But it's an absolute classic, and my family just want to kill me because every year they have to watch it on every major festival that we have. But it's a nice one. What was the last one? Book. I'm just going to be a bit different here. I do read books a lot, more audio these days than the physical ones. But I have to say that my absolute favorite is the Bible. I know, yeah. Yeah, I do love the Bible because it's just got so much packed in there. And first of all, it's unexpected. But secondly, it's fresh and it's new. Every time you read it, you're going to see something different that you didn't see before. And even if you read the same chapter or the same verse, a different message will come at you from it. So, yeah, it's up there.
Brilliant. Wow, guys. 3 men unpacking very, very diverse. That's a lot to take, but brilliant. Thank you so much. So talk to me about moving to the UK. What does that look like? What does the financial journey of someone moving here 21 years ago? What does the financial journey of you coming here, navigating life and UK look like? What does that look like for Himani?
Yeah, so I think my experience might be unique just because when I came to the UK, I was 13 years old. So, but, the unexpected part was, 3 years later, I was considered to be old enough to do various things. In Africa, that was a long, long way away. So there's a tendency to grow up much faster in the UK than you would back home. So I think I never spent enough time in Africa engaging with the financial system to sort of know what it's like as an adult. But I did observe my parents' experiences, and the big things that stood out were, I remember sort of going to places and them looking you up on the system and you are not there. And the thing is, there's less use of credit at home, or we use different types of credit. And so it took a really long time for my parents to be on the system, and not just you're present, but actually you're not worthy, but for them to be present and worthy of being lent. And I think during that journey, I saw them struggle quite a lot. They came from a place where they were trusted, and then they came here and tried to earn the trust to maybe a more difficult audience. They didn't look trustworthy. If whatever trustworthy is meant to look like, that was not what they looked like. And that applied into jobs, different types of business opportunities. And so they fought really, really hard to get to a point where they had access to finance. They were able to, be able to do what they wish they could do. And even small things like, understanding what is your credit history.
Yeah.
Why does it even matter?
What is it? What is it?
Small things like, what's your address for the last 3 years? Not normally challenges, but actually, if you don't have it, a lot of times the person asking doesn't actually know what to do if you can't provide that.
That's so true. They don't know what to do if you can't provide it.
Yeah. Small things like you need to be on the electoral roll. It's like, why?
Yes. I don't intend to vote tomorrow, so no thanks.
So so observing them working through those challenges was difficult for me. I think I wanted certain things. They wanted a place to provide them, and I knew they wanted to, but they just weren't. And I think especially realizing, I think there's a sensation. I think at the time that I've got a credit card and it's got a big limit. It's great. It's free money, but actually it's really not. I think in Africa, if you had access to the same amount of money, it would be like a free check. But you might not pay, but actually eventually, one day, when you really need that credit, they'll look you up and they'll remember. So there was a bit of a vertical learning curve for them. They went into trying to do businesses as well. The very same challenges exist: a lack of trust, lack of understanding, lack of awareness, and even at a community level, their friends didn't know either. So I mean, it's fine if you're here to exist, but if you're here to build or do anything meaningful, then that gap in information can really be painful to learn through. But my experience was that I observed them going through that, and I think we worked together with them to try and figure out, what needed to be done, how it needed to be done. I think I've benefited quite a lot from working with them on that. I think normally your parents wouldn't share this information with you because you don't need to know, but actually in that scenario, there was value in all of us sort of trying to figure this out jointly. But that's my experience.
Very interesting, Kim. So you came when you were 13, and in 3 short years you had to be an adult, like basically a semi-adult, having come from being treated as such a child. That must be, how do you even deal with that? So like, when you hit 16, for example, what were the biggest friction points for you?
I think the first real issue with money was, I joined university. I think I joined early, around 17. Got a big student loan, and I thought, great, let's have a party, let's buy everything. I just blew it, completely blew it. Got student credit card, spent that as well. But the student loan is supposed to last you 3 months. But I'd just never had that much money in my bank before. So there was no mom and dad to say no. So now the challenge was in having to go back to the parents and say, oh, the money's finished. Well, what did you buy? Oh, I bought a Walkman and some clothes and some Timberlands and bought my friends this and that. And it was like, there's a certain look you get from, I think it might be just African parents. But instead of them being upset, they congratulate you, say, well done, good on you, well done. Now reap the benefits of your hard work.
For 3 months.
Yeah,
just sitting down.
and you know, so my parents' advice was like, you know, well, you need a job then, don't you? It's like, yeah, but I'll get more in 3 months if you just help me out just now. And I just said no.
Oh wow!
So I got a
How
job.
long did it take you to blow it?
A week.
A week?
Not long. I just never seen so much money before, so it felt like I could do everything and it would not end, but it did end.
Good feeling, though.
It was great, best week of my life. It was nice to just have everything you want, and your parents can't say no, but then you also realize that the bank can. Yeah. So when the bank starts saying no, it's just a lot worse than the parents saying no. Yes. They're less hard to convince that just give me a bit more. But I think after that, there was also sort of early lessons were really helpful. Yes. Going into adulthood, starting to realize your money needs to last a certain duration of time. Yeah. And if it doesn't, especially once you get a job and that's the money the job has paid, you still need to go to work even if you blow all the money on the first day. Yes. Yeah. And so there isn't a parachute as such. You need to make it last. Yeah. But sometimes you need to learn that the hard way. And I feel privileged to have learned that at a young age. And that's served me well over the years.
That's my goodness. Because I was 17. I was in uni. I was just still being fully looked after. Very shielded from reality.
No.
Wow. Very interesting journey for you. Jonathan?
No, I think for me, my journey, I think with money is... Of course, I didn't experience money from my young age as him. I was already an adult. So when I came here, I was already an adult, working, experienced, earning money. But I think coming here, there's a shock you get when it comes to the systems. I felt, there's so much control around, what you can and can't do with your money. It's your money, yes, but it's like actually somebody somewhere invisible is controlling what you can and you can't do. No, seriously, whereas when I compare to where I came from, it doesn't matter. I need to be happy, you're happy. You need to go out, you go out. Think about today, tomorrow look after yourself. Whereas here, no, you can't do that. And I think for me also the shift from, using cash to credit cards, that's a big, big jump. Where I come from, of course, yes, you use the boss, but it's a cash economy. Sometimes actually people may not, give you what you want because you had a card, unless you went to a big hotel or a bank or whatever. People would refuse. You're buying something, no, they want cash. And when you come here, everything is on the card. You don't know what you're spending. You look at your, bank balance, later on, and like you're shocked. Did I spend all this? Whereas if I know I had my cash, I know what I'm spending.
Your pocket is empty.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's kind of a, a shock. But of course, you have to learn from it. You have to adapt. You have to accept that's what it is. And it took me ages to actually not have money in my pocket, cash. Yeah. I could actually go to the cash machine, withdraw cash, put in my pocket. Yeah. And I've got my card and cash. And I feel, until at some point you feel like actually sometimes wherever you go, I mean, people right now is saying, swipe, it's just like, okay, we don't take cash. And now like it's the, after COVID, a few places take, cash. And I think for me, the education as well, there's a lot that is, is happened. You've moved on from, using cash. But again, using credit cards, you get into financial difficulties. Absolutely. Because you don't know how much you have. Yeah. There is, you think there's free money on a credit card, but it's not free. You spend it so quick, and then you need to pay it back. You're in arrears. So I think for me, it's mixed feeling about, my previous and the current. But if you ask me to flip the coin, I would want to, use my cash.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's very funny. You've talked about this invisible man holding your money, which you own. I remember the first night going to a nightclub or, to a club. And then a bell rang at some point, which I had no understanding why there was this bell. And they said it was last drinks, which I didn't respect. I mean, I have money. I will go to the bar when I decide I'm going to the bar. I'm the one that has the money. And then at 2:00, they were like, the place is closing. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm still here. I'm paying. And they were like, no, we have to leave. The license doesn't let us go further. And I was just so shocked because where I came from, man, as long as I'm still spending money, we're good. We're open, you know? So there's an even if I have my money, there's this invisible force that is holding all these other strings. Very, very interesting. Godwin, what's your journey been?
Well, I mean, like Jonathan, I also came to the UK as an adult, so I'd kind of dealt with money in Uganda. But I remember being so excited about coming here because, first of all, I was so looking forward to being a part of this workforce. I just had some
an expert,
yeah, expectations out of the workplace and everything. And then when I got here, I mean, I think the one thing that, looking back, I do remember being enthusiastic about coming here. I didn't have any qualms. I didn't have any worries or concerns. I didn't have any fears. I was just so excited to get here. And when I got here, the one thing that I remember is once I started working, because I'd been working back home, it wasn't long. So I still had this mindset of earning in a foreign currency, but spending in a local currency. So all the money that I would get, I would immediately convert it to Uganda shillings. And it just seemed so much. So I was like, I can do a lot more with this than I could do in Uganda. So I was just splashing it around, like, and of course, you're spending in pounds, but living in Uganda mentally. And then you get to the bank account and you're like, okay, I can't remember spending all this, but clearly I did because it's not on the account anymore. And and I think the other thing was, I was so used to looking at my bank statement at the end of the month or once I get it in the post. I wasn't so clued on with like the gadgets necessarily so quickly, because I still had this mindset similar to Jonathan. You want to have some cash in the pocket. So I used to do all my banking physically. I had to go to a branch and everything. And so it would take me a while before realizing that actually I don't have money. Maybe go to the ATM and I look at the slip and I'm like, hang on a second. I had a lot more than that yesterday. Where did it go?
Yeah.
But yesterday was maybe a month ago or a week ago. So that was a little bit of a challenge, just trying to get to grips with that. But I also like the knowing what to expect once you get into the groove of things, just being clear about, once you've set up certain things like direct debits and standing orders. I don't necessarily remember being able to do that back home. I'm sure you could, but maybe you couldn't. Whereas here, you do it and then 1, 2, 3 months down the road, you don't even think about it because it's gone away. And that, I realized that lifted a big weight off my shoulders, not having to deal with all these financial decisions on a day-to-day basis.
Being able to automate.
Yeah, just automate it, take it out of your way, and go and do other things. And just knowing, once you get the hang of this is going there, and that's dealt with, then you kind of know what you have left to play about with. So yeah, that's kind of my journey.
Very interesting. 3 very different journeys. The conversion thing, though, you look at. It's interesting when you're like, my goodness, how much is that? Yeah, that's a good. But when you go to buy the bread, and the bread is so you're like, hey, this would buy a.
Oh yeah, the flip side of that conversion is that every time you're spending, you have to convert it. And then you're like, oh my God, how are they charging me so much for this?
For bread.
So, God. Very interesting.
Nice. So give a newcomer some advice. What guidance would you give them around money or what is the biggest lesson you've learned on this transition of moving from your original home country to now properly settled. I mean, 21 years, you're Scottish, whether you like it or not. What advice would you give someone that's new to the country on how they should navigate finances and just, prosper?
I think for me, the quick one is really people to educate themselves about money. Because when you come here, you actually don't think about value of money, because where we come from, an example is a shilling. £1 is equivalent to probably about, like 4,000. That's a lot. And your mentality is still in the local currency.
Yes.
So you need to quickly learn, it's expensive here.
Yes.
And of course, without education, without educating yourself, seeking for advice, maybe even, looking for people around who can support you, like from your home countries, and don't do things so quick because you've seen a very nice item, you want to just quickly buy it and all that, you end up in arrears.
Interesting. Is it the same for Kenya shillings as well? Is the exchange rate quite high?
So £1 is 150 Kenya shillings.
Oh, that's way well in you. Yeah, that's not too bad. Interesting.
Compared to Uganda.
Okay, interesting. So if even the conversation of forex and exchange. Well, to be honest, I grew up in a business family, so we're always converting money to dollars because you'd go. My parents would travel abroad to trade, and so dollars was okay. But you only went to the forex bureau to convert this. So forex was not something you'd think about continuously. So very interesting. Good tips. So find financial education and understand what the system is. Himani?
Yeah, I think especially for my fellow brothers and sisters from Kenya, big advice is don't try to cheat the system. Don't. I think they say we sometimes overestimate what we can do in the short term, and then we underestimate what we can do in the long term. So this system remembers everything. If you try to cheat it, it will remember. And then one day, when the system has the capability to come through for you, they'll say, you cheated me last time. So it takes time to build credit. It takes time to have been in addresses for the relevant amount of time. It takes time to get on electoral rolls. So if you're honest and you work hard, it will come to you in time. But if you want it tomorrow, it will not. The system will not work for you the day you land. So be honest. The things you do back home, just leave them back home. And give yourself time to build up income, find the right opportunities. And then in 2 or 3 years' time, then go back to the system and now ask the system, what can you do for me? And the system will be good to you at that point.
That is such good advice. That is such good advice, because you're right. I mean, the system here leaves a footprint. Whatever you're doing, unless you're not registered somewhere, whatever you're doing is leaving a footprint that's not going away anytime soon. I mean, it takes 7 years, if you're lucky, 7 years to correct a situation, when you correct it. So I was having a conversation with someone around debt that they hadn't paid, and they thought that the 7-year period kicks in when, from 7 years of when you took out the debt. But it's not, it's 7 years from when you pay the debt off. So I was saying to them, listen, no, that your credit is still, it's going to continue being bad. It's not going to stop because that debt is still outstanding. The 7 years will start when that debt is made good, and that footprint is a stink. It's a stinker. So absolutely good advice. Godwin, the accountant?
Well, mine is sort of similar to Kim's in a way. I think it's very important for you to adapt when you come here. And by that I mean just appreciate that you're now in a different space and economy and place, and forget the way you used to do things before, and just pick up what's being done here. Pick it up quickly, and learn it. Obviously, get as much information as you can from reliable people.
Reliable, that's the key thing. Key thing here,
because
reliable.
it's very easy to get the wrong type of information.
But how do you? Because that's another thing. If I'm new, and I remember this really being a big thing, how do you even validate what reliable is? Can be a question.
So the one thing that I think I learned and appreciated about this place, which I didn't appreciate about back home, is the ability to shop around, if I can use that term.
Yes.
When I came here, the first opinion I would get is what I would take as gospel. But now I know to shop around, and I also use available tools. Like I'll go online and I'll check something. So even if someone has spoken to me about something and they're the so-called expert, I can check it out online.
You go and double check it. Brilliant.
If I speak to one person and they tell me something, I can ask 3 other people. That kind of ties into what Jonathan said about just not rushing for the first deal that you get.
Yes.
Try and find out, is there something better? Is there something different? Do I need to consider other things?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really, really important. But I think the one thing that, if you could do just one thing, is to try and automate your decision-making process.
Yes.
As much as possible. There's a number of things that we have to do quite regularly here that you can't kind of circumnavigate. So a very simple thing is like, in Africa, you could negotiate with your landlord around your rent. And that negotiation can be long term. Whereas here, it's, so automate these decisions, get them out of your head. 2-3 months down the road, you won't be thinking about them, and you'll be able to think about other things which are more progressive. So that's my pieces of advice.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. You've been amazing. Lovely to have you. Thank you so much to everyone that's watching and listening. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
It's
That was
good
fun.
to be here.
Thank you for listening to the Grow Your Money podcast. If you're looking to take actionable steps toward achieving your financial goals, visit moneymatix.com. That is money, MATIX.com. And join our free Grow Your Money Challenge. Let's unite in the movement to inspire people to talk about money. Thank you for being a part of our community. We'll see you in the next episode.